going on, everybody? It's Geoff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal. I am joined by Sean Reider, my colleague at the Journal, for our weekly-ish Albuquerque Journal Sports Live weekly-ish show, sponsored by Sandia Sportsbook. Very appreciative to Sandia for helping us out and sponsoring this show, the pregame shows I do for basketball, the postgame shows we do during the football season, and for our podcast when we get those out, Talking Grammar and the Writer's Block. Is it the Writer's Block? It's kind of like
Writer's Block. Talking with the Grammar and the Writer's Block.
Talking with the Grammar and the Writer's Block.
Did you tweet it out? Did you tweet the show out?
I did.
I want to say thank you as well to our beautiful sponsor, awesome sponsor, Sandia Sportsbook. I also want to say don't want to give thanks to Influenza A, because I had that last week, and that is why we did not do a show. So apologies to all of our loyal listeners if you were expecting a show. I got the flu. Sorry about that. I don't think you tweeted it.
Oh, I tweeted it, but let's see.
What is you
Yeah, why didn't it come out?
It's not there.
I'm looking, man. It's. I just hit save changes.
Well, Grammar is dealing with that and figuring out a way for you guys to access our show, and so you can be able to listen to it and engage with us. I don't know if anybody's listening right now. We got a lot going on in Albuquerque, in Lobos.
We got people watching on YouTube.
There we go. All right. Shout out Carlos Sanchez. Obviously a big game tomorrow for UNM men's basketball, and we got a whole boatload of football updates yesterday. A whole 50-minute press conference with Jason Eck. Covered a lot of ground. Probably one of the best, if not the best, press conferences we've had with Jason Eck since he's been on board. Thought he was really open about a lot of stuff, and we'll get into some stuff. We'll get into a lot of that, I think, during the show. But did we get it figured out?
No, we're up on X, but the live tweet, or like the tweet didn't come out, so I am now tweeting it.
Yay!
And you will see it here in just a second. But I will copy this. Yeah, I don't know why it's not out on X. Like the link is what
Beats me, brother.
So this is great showing so far.
This is why you guys tune in. This is why you guys show up weekly.
Yeah,
every other week.
Weekly-ish. Yeah.
We've kind of been the every other week show recently.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. We will cover some basketball obviously today. They were in the middle of the basketball season. Big game coming tomorrow, and we will be covering an awful lot of Jason Eck today, some new players, North Dakota State coming to town. I say coming to town, meaning they're joining the Mountain West. We don't know if they're coming to town.
They might be. It's on the table. UNM might be going to Fargo. They might be going to the Fargo Dome.
Or they might not play.
I will say we'll get into men's basketball because we have a good question here from or sentiment from Nicholas, I should say. But I don't think they're going to go to Fargo if they do end up playing, because UNM has that road game at Hawaii. And from my understanding at this point, the teams that are already going to Hawaii will probably not be going to Fargo. With the schedule matrix, they're not going to redo everything. They want to keep pretty much mostly everything intact. They're not going to move the Hawaii trips from what I can kind of tell in terms of how it's been talked about. So I would love to go to the Fargo Dome, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards. But did you tweet it out? Is it out there? It is. Wow.
I tweeted it, but I had to tweet it. It didn't come through on the usual
the
auto push. So I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. But thank you to Sandia Sportsbook one more time. Anyway, Nicholas got a question on YouTube. Geoff, I don't want to hit the panic button for men's basketball, but man, we have not looked good. Is this how our team is going to be the rest of the year? I would tell you this, that the Utah State game was bad on both sides of the ball. The Boise State game, the defense sucked, but the offense was as good as it had been all year if you look at points per possession and efficiency, and against a good Boise State team, right? So if you're looking for reasons not to panic and not to think this is the rest of the year, those are the things you take from it. I would also say that everybody in this league has had a 2-game losing streak. There's not one team in this league Let me double check on Utah State. Didn't they lose 2-0? Yeah, Brandon and UNLV. So
Every team has had a 2-game losing streak. Well, actually, let's check on this one.
let's check on it. There's not a team in this league that hasn't had a 2-game losing streak this year. New Mexico just had theirs last week, though. I get why the recency bias and fresh in mind, that's who they are right now, kind of feel is the overriding sentiment. But just 3 weeks ago, UNLV beat Utah State in Logan by 10. I don't think that meant Utah State's season was over. That's a Utah State team that, a UNLV team that the Lobos went and beat by 28, and 28 only because UNLV went on a late 13-0 run. That could have been a 40-point road win for the Lobos. San Diego State, obviously, they had a 2-game losing streak earlier in the year to some good teams, or one good team and then one triple overtime loss to a bad Troy team. So, yeah, these things happen. But it is the most recent one, right? It is what just happened to the Lobos. I don't think it's worth hitting the panic button. I know our colleague is panicking. We got some
I'm looking at him right now. Does he? He's got it pulled up. Yeah, he's got it. I see it.
This?
Yeah, he just flipped his desk.
Yeah, so we do got some panic going on,
making a huge ruckus in the office right now. Oh my God! Just kicked the trash can. Jesus.
Yeah. Christ. Yeah, he is. Matt is panicking right now, and that's okay. The Lobos didn't look good last week. They did have some flaws. Obviously, they also, again, like to play both sides of the fence here. They also just went 8-1 in January. Had a better record than any Mountain West Conference team. They had their best January win percentage since 1978 when they went undefeated in January. So, yeah, they did some really good things pretty recently, but the most recent was last week, and they had 2 losses at home to end a 23-game losing streak. So that is why the panic button is even in consideration for some fans. If you look at social media and you look at some of the stuff that's being tweeted to players, which is just stupid to me, there's some fans that are saying, see, I told you this team's unathletic and nothing but a bunch of D2 players, and Olin's got to start making adjustments, and it blows my mind that that's still happening, but it is. And there you go. I don't think it's worth panic time just yet. Tomorrow night, road game at Grand Canyon.
Tough place to play.
Tough place to play. Even if they lose that, it's not going to hurt their metrics. Right now, the panicking Lobo fan needs to know this. There are also people, Kenny Thomas even said this on KOB last night. I've seen Bo Hightower tweet it. They're at-large chances are shot unless they run the table now. Last week, 2 home losses for the Lobos dropped them to 48th in the net. If you're 48th in the second week of February in the net, you are not out of the NCAA tournament picture.
You can definitely play your way back in. You can 100%. It's not a lock, but you can play your way and you'll have opportunities.
100%. The losses on the table, if you want to go this route, that still won't actually kick them out of the tournament, are at Logan. That's not going to hurt them. At Grand Canyon and at Reno. Now, you need some of those wins to make sure you get in, right? That would help you get in. But none of those are like eliminators. None of this is like, okay, now they got to win 3 games in March. And in the Mountain West tournament, I mean, none of that has happened yet. So you can panic if you want, but they're in the top 50 in the net, top 50 in KenPom, top 50 in every computer metric out there, -1 BPI. ESPN's BPI does not ever treat teams that play at elevation kindly. But they certainly lost a lot of wiggle room is what they lost. If you look at Lenardi, if you look at all the bracketologists, they went from the first 4 in to now the first 4 out. Anybody who's in the first 4 out right now isn't eliminated by any stretch of the imagination. So is it panic time? Only if your standards were like they were going to get a 5 seed. They're probably not getting like a 5 seed now. Other than that, it wasn't a good week. This isn't an apologetic kind of, oh, don't worry, go team, go kind of rant. It's just a sample size matters, context matters, and 2 games in February aren't eliminating what this team has done so far this season, but they did lose an awful lot of wiggle room.
As of 6 hours ago, the great Joe Lunardi has them as the very last team in the field.
So they're still in
Texas, Miami, San Diego State, and New Mexico.
So they're still in?
They are still in as of 6 hours ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Josh is in on YouTube. I
Yes.
bought NCAA Football 25 this week just so I could play in the best home field advantage in America, University Stadium.
That's what they're calling it now. That's what they've been calling it.
No, they aren't. I don't know who they are, but they aren't calling it that.
Yeah, it's just some friends out of state. They say that. Yeah, they like to talk about that. So,
it obviously that it improved whatever the home field advantage metrics in NCAA 25 are, like whatever the ratings are for home fields. They don't actually do that, but well, I guess they have to some, right?
they do like the stadium pulse thing and all that too. I haven't played NCAA 25 that deeply to have a great feel for it, so I'm kind of talking about something I don't really know about, which is a new thing on the show. But yeah,
we do that a lot.
We're pretty good at that.
Josh, why don't you tell us, like, why don't the stadiums in NCAA football and all that have their own metrics, right, or their own ratings?
Well, I think they do, like, because when college football came back, they put out a list of like the toughest stadiums to play in within the game.
Okay.
And it was like, and there was a whole big hubbub because I think Kyle Field was like number one, and then they lost to somebody kind of early in real life, not the game. And everybody was like, oh my God, Death Valley's so much harder. And Death Valley is like really tough to play into, but like, I don't know. It seemed very much overblown in that sense. But I don't remember you seeing University Stadium in that top 15 or 20 or whatever, but certainly this last year it got tougher to play in. Speaking of good home field advantages, Jay Stack was very complimentary of the Fargo Dome yesterday. He said he thought he was done playing in the old Fargo Dome, and but probably maybe he will be actually, because if they don't play this year at the Fargo Dome and he moves on, then he probably is done at the Fargo Dome. But
what about when people come out, like, do they play that song "Welcome to the Terror Dome" or what is it? Welcome to the what dome is it?
Oh, is it the Public Enemy song?
Yeah.
What? Is it the Terror Dome? Yeah, it's a Terror Dome, right?
Yeah,
not the Thunderdome.
No, it's Terror. Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Public Enemy was pretty sweet, man.
They weren't really an enemy.
I would say they weren't.
Little known fact. NCAA 26 is key.
Should we get a console for the office? Graham and I hang out. We're just gonna stream NCAA 26 for like 4 hours and
nothing like your new twitching.
Twitching.
We could be your Twitchers. All right, never mind.
Oh God.
Whatever the latest one is, I can't keep track. All right.
I can't keep track either. I don't know.
Boise is a bad matchup for us, even if the defense was balls.
The Celtics are the balls. You ever seen that clip?
I just read a clip about Boise the defense being the balls against Boise.
Man, God, I'll reply to my tweet and with that clip. But
right.
Do you think Boise is a bad matchup for New Mexico?
Yeah, and I think Grand Canyon is too. I think Grand Canyon and Boise might be the two worst matchups because of their rebounding and because of their size. I really do. I think Grand Canyon and Boise are probably the two worst matchups for the Lobos. So good luck tomorrow, even though they won by 20 last time they played them, 23 actually. I do think it's a bad matchup for the Lobos. There you go. And I will tell you this too. Let me go back to this while we're talking about bad matchups. If you were to break down the Mountain West tournament right now, the Lobos would be the 3 seed. They would play the winner of the I forget the numbers. But Boise State would basically be the team that they would be playing in the quarterfinals. So
not ideal.
No. You want to get back to that 1 or 2 seed. So look, if you're the 5 seed, so here's the breakdown of the Mountain West tournament. Top 4 get the bye. We know that. The 5 seed.
What were they when they won 4 games in 4 days?
6 or 7.
Okay.
They might have been 7 actually. 6 seed. They were the 6 seed. Sorry. Maybe not. I'm making that up too. But when you get 4 teams get the bye this year, the 5th team, while not ideal to have to play that extra game and get there a day early and actually go through a game and you don't overlook any opponent, blah, blah, blah. The 5 seed plays Air Force in the Mountain West tournament. You still got to play. You still got to go out there and beat them. But it isn't the worst, well, we have to at least go play a game kind of scenario. But yeah, you are playing Air Force. It's not the toughest opponent out there. Carlos Sanchez, I believe we lose at Grand Canyon. Cold streak. Could be, man. Grand Canyon has obviously looked very good at home. They have since New Mexico beat them by 23 in the pit. Grand Canyon has at home beat Utah State, tied for first place in the Mountain West Conference, beat San Diego State, tied for first place in the Mountain West Conference, beat Boise State, just beat the Lobos in the pit. So those are 3 home wins that Grand Canyon has since then. I would remind you, though, that Grand Canyon also lost to Colorado State team that has 3 wins in conference play at home. So yeah, Grand Canyon isn't like unbeatable at in their crib. See that?
Oh my god,
that's for the kids. It's for the kids. Yeah, they aren't unbeatable there, and against a Lobo team that is going to be fairly focused, I would think. I wouldn't anticipate focus being the issue tomorrow. I would tell you that the Lobos are going to be probably nice and ready and have a good game plan, all that good stuff. I just don't think it's a great matchup. I'll go ahead and say now, though, I think no, maybe not. Let me think about it a little bit longer. I was about to say I think the Lobos win, but I'll think about it. I'm a sore loser. When UNM loses in the pit, I start to check out of the season. Crazy thing to say, I know. Yeah, I don't think that means sore loser. I think that's fan. Like a lot of fans start doing that. But it is what it is.
2 pivotal games in one week at home and all that. Yeah, I think if you drop both and you don't look awesome and you look mostly awesome in either one of them, yeah, you're probably going to check out a little bit. That's kind of the way it is. But they got plenty of opportunities coming up.
They are 18-6. If you look at their final 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, because they play at least one Mountain West tournament game, they are guaranteed at least 8 more games. They have to win 2 of those. They play Air Force in one of those in the pit. No, not that that's always been a win 2 years ago. But I would tell you that Eric Olin's first year as the Lobos coach is going to get to 20 wins. I think they're still going to be a top 4 seed. They have tiebreakers. As of right now, they have a tiebreaker with Nevada, although they still play in Reno. As of right now, they have a tiebreaker with Grand Canyon, although they play at Grand Canyon tomorrow. At worst, those are both going to be ties going to the next kind of step in the standings. What helps them is one-off wins against UNLV and Wyoming if it gets down that low in the standings. The tiebreaker goes with if you split with a team and you have the same record, then it says, okay, what did these 2 teams do against the number 1 team in the standings? Then the number 2, number 3, and it goes down the standings. The problem is UNM depends how high Boise State finishes, basically. If Boise State's the tiebreaker, UNM is 0-2 against them, and any team that beat Boise State is going to have a tiebreaker against UNM. So that'll be an issue. But everything's still in front of the Lobos. They could still be a top 4 seed, getting a bye in the Mountain West tournament. They were picked 5th in the league. They're 3rd right now. They are still in Joey brackets. Joe Lunardi has them in the NCAA tournament as we speak right now.
Joey brackets, man.
So I don't know. You can check out, but that's fine. Stop being reasonable and start blaming the refs. I will tell you this, and even more than you, Sean. Josh realizes this, that I have never. I've been doing this a little while, back when you were still in elementary school, Sean. And
maybe a little earlier than that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just mean at the journal.
Oh, okay.
And like while I do the drink thing and kind of hated for a while there how long they would take to do video reviews, I don't actually badmouth the refs or blame the refs that often. Lobo fans do, and a lot of people do. I will tell you this, man. Last week, there were some issues around the Mountain West in officiating. I will tell you, Saturday had some really poor officiating, and it wasn't just against the Lobos. There was some pretty crappy officiating last week, and I am. It is rare, but I will tell you that you are not entirely wrong there, Mr. Joshua Rivera, in that the officiating kind of sucked.
Think about this Geoff Grammer guy, man. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's not afraid to tell like it is every now and then.
Kind of sucked. Getting the vibe, Howell is not coming back this year, which is a major bummer. So I asked about Chris Howell, and that vibe you are getting might be right because they are looking into whether or not he can get a medical red shirt.
Yeah.
If he cannot get a medical red shirt, he'll come back. They'll probably force him back. He'll force himself back because his career is over otherwise. The problem is the game he got injured in, the 11th game, of the season was the game that passed the threshold of when he could get a red shirt. If he played 10 games, he'd be fine. He got hurt in the first half of the 11th game. They are now looking for precedents on when that when somebody may have been granted a red shirt. I will tell you a medical red shirt after that fact. I will tell you this, the NCAA is sort of reversing course in a little way. They took so many L's in the courts and in the appeals and this and that they were finally saying, okay, we got to just try and fight. They get one win yesterday. They've won one court case basically. And I do think they're actually going to start being a lot stricter on just granting appeals and granting all these. So that doesn't bode well for a guy trying to get a red shirt. I will also tell you there's more than a month of the season left, and they need, like, the Lobos could really use Chris Howell. They could use another 6'7" defense first kind of guy. They could have used that on Saturday against Boise, who has a whole roster of 6'7" guys that just kept scoring on him. So they really could use Chris Howell. And if he can come back, I do think that they would try and do that still. But they are, as Eric Olin said, now exploring possibilities of basically what can be done to possibly get a red shirt for Chris Howell. But they need him, man. They need him. And people that were really critical of him earlier in the year that said he was just worth this. Why aren't we playing Kevin Patton over him? There's another guy who's still out. I would just tell you that, like, Saturday showed they could really use Chris Howell on this team right now. The 3 loses will be against SDSU. Are you saying 3 losses?
Speaking of San Diego State and SDSU, I had an all-time terrible start to the press conference yesterday saying San Diego State. I mean South Dakota State. I mean North Dakota State, because I had 5 different thoughts in my head, and oh my God, absolutely brutal. Was not a great rep to put on tape. Settled in after, but Jesus, what a horrible start.
I'm not entirely sure what you're saying here, Carlos Sanchez, but 3 losses will be against SDSU.
Are they saying that is Kylo saying that UNM is? I actually don't know. Either. Kylo, if you could clarify this for us.
7 seed, maybe. Do you think the Lobos are falling to the 7 seed? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's what he's saying.
That would be really, really interesting. If you look at the standings right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They would have to. I mean, right now the 7 seed is UNLV, and they are 6-6. The Lobos at 9-4 with games against Air Force still and all that, and the tiebreaker against UNLV. I don't see how they would fall to the 7 seed if that's what you're saying. I don't think it's actually very possible, frankly. UNLV would basically have to run the table, and New Mexico would have to go the opposite course and not run the table.
Don't count Pastner's boys out. Do not count Josh Pastner's boys out.
We got Tomeo Palm's respecter in. This is not even a joke because of the handle. It won't happen, but I want some Tomeo minutes. He is a very good offensive player. Offense wasn't the problem against San Jose State last Saturday. They scored 1.4 points per possession, which is their best of the year. The best of the year was just a week ago, last Saturday. Best offense of the year, efficiency-wise, was at San Jose State. They got their 3rd best of the year just Saturday against Boise State. So their offense is doing fine. It's not a let's bail on this team because of the offense at this point. It's bail on this team because their defense was so bad against Utah State and Boise State and San Jose State, frankly. So they had 3 bad in a row defensive performances, and that's kind of the question right now. Like they've been playing an awful lot of man. They had been doing a lot of matchup zone. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting time for sure. Well, I love Luke Hopp. Oh no, guy that just scored 30 and was the only guy that showed up Saturday. And we're starting with while I love Luke Hopp, my favorite player, the mad scientist. It's a bad sign when he's going for 30 and UNM is losing. I would agree with that. You squandered a Luke Hopp 30-point game. Did you watch it, Sean?
I didn't watch all of it. I watched a little bit, but I was still pretty sick at that point. So kind of.
Madden 26 over NCAA 26.
I don't have a hard I don't have a hard line either or. I know people complain about Madden, like the game mechanics are like pretty bad or something like that. But then again, I haven't played nearly enough Madden in the last like 5 years to have a good feel for it.
You come to us, your favorite Twitchers, for content like this.
Okay.
Well, I beat Ole Miss like a bad habit. So based on the metric of lived experience, no one can win here except the Lobos. There you go.
That's yeah. I mean,
Look,
we can argue with that. How did you get the Rebs to University Stadium? That's insane. Was it playoff or
playoffs?
Just a playoffs or just a crazy home and home? I don't know.
Probably
what's more likely, Ole Miss coming to University Stadium or Arizona coming to the pit?
Arizona was in the pit in the Paul Weir era. Sean Miller. Why doesn't UNM push the Vegas tournament harder? I get that they do a bit, but for as many people that go, it feels like they would try and market it harder. I suppose that's because everyone goes anyway. They got 10,000 people there just 2 years ago, 8,000 probably just 2 years ago. They also don't make the money for that. I mean, their marketing efforts and focus is probably on trying to make money here. They sell out their allotment every year for the Mountain West tournament, but yeah, I don't think they have to for the Mountain West tournament. They're the fan base that shows up the most anyway. So I can ask why they don't push it a little harder, but I do think the only school in the Mountain West that doesn't really have to push, hey, everybody, let's go to the Mountain West tournament is in fact the UNM Lobos, but I can ask. Get a couple more of these, and then I want to kind of shift off the questions to get Sean some football time. Losing to two tough opponents isn't what's upsetting me. It's the fact that both were at home and one was in the game for half of it. Yeah, they got blown out in the second half of that Utah State game. And they were at home. That's what really sucks about it in the grand scheme of things. But they had won 23 in a row at home. And that was the third longest streak in program history, the other being one in the 90s, and one of them was one game better. So it's not like all these great Lobo teams of the past have had longer home streaks than what these Lobos just were at least a little more than half part of. And last year's Patino's team had 11 of those 23 wins. So, yeah, it was a good run. It had to end sometime, but the hope, obviously, for fans would be that it wouldn't have ended now. GCU also lost to Youngstown State at their crib. There we go.
Penguins.
Little crib talk. Youngstown State, the former team of Jared Calhoun. Jared Calhoun, the friend of J.Eck, through the former Bob Huggins era. J.Eck was friends with Bob Huggins and got to know a young Jared Calhoun, the assistant coach of the West Virginia. I was about to say West Virginia Cavaliers. The West Virginia Cavaliers, the Mountaineers. When Bob Huggins was still coaching, J.Eck would go by practice sometimes and got to know Jared Calhoun. Those two guys know each other well now. And last Wednesday, before the game, Jared Calhoun did his walkthrough and his shoot around, hung out with the team, did film and all that, but then spent a couple hours with J.Eck and toured the UNM football facilities with J.Eck, the father of Jason Eck, while Jason was up in Santa Fe trying to make a little money with his bees in the trap.
What a TikTok. There's nothing better than that, by the way. Just a couple hours of an old ball coach. Nothing better than that, man.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about.
I was not going to say there's nothing better than
seeing J.Eck do the bees.
No, there is nothing better than a couple hours of an old ball coach, man. That just rocks. Great vibes there.
You will be happy to know I just got sent my parking pass for tomorrow's game.
Wow.
They are letting me in.
When are you flying out tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning. 10:30-ish, I think. 10:30. Let's call it 10:30. Jonathan Gonzalez is in. I'm down here in El Paso, and I just saw the Sun Bowl for the first time. UTEP has so much potential in that universe of being a scary place to play. The people here are excited to match up with UNM. I will tell you, I've been to some Sun Bowl games back when I was sports editor of the Sun News and covered the Aggies. I've been to some Sun Bowl games that can get loud. There's a little bit, it's not as good as the pit in basketball, but there is some similarities to the acoustics of the Sun Bowl with all the sound coming down in the mountain setting and just sort of trapped down there. And it can get so loud down at field level, kind of like at the pit where it's dug into the ground. I will tell you, the Sun Bowl, when it's really rocking, is a really, really good place, a really, really good stadium. I will also tell you that, damn it, UTEP basketball, like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Brutal.
you've been bad for a while. Like, fix it.
They had a flash with Golding. What was they made that run to the Conference USA Championship game?
Yeah, it's like
and they lost to like Western
year one,
Kentucky. I'm
maybe?
pretty sure. I think it was a year or Deaver. I think it was 2 years ago because Deaver I think was still covering the team.
Was he? Yeah. So I will tell you that UTEP has potential if they invest the money that Heather Wilson promised she would invest into athletics. I think UTEP has a potential to be to be a good addition to the Mountain West if they invest that money that they say they're going to invest. I want to see them invest that money, though, because football and basketball right now, neither one of those are going to be a top half of the standings kind of program in the new Mountain West, which isn't the current Mountain West. So I hope things get better, because that would be awesome if just down the road, a bus ride away for the teams and for fans would have some really good competition in basketball in particular, like it used to be back in the day.
I've done one game at the Sun Bowl. It's an absolutely awesome environment. I very much look forward to returning in the near future, although it won't be this year because I believe they're hosting UTEP this year. But it's kind of getting Scotty Walden needs to figure it out. He needs to just get something going on the football in there because it has still been dreadful. I think they're entering year 3. He's changing the coordinators again. I don't have a lot of confidence in this operation, but we'll see what happens.
Is there are you saying there's a hot seat?
Yeah, a hot seat for the. I don't know what his contract looks like, but yeah, I would say probably a little bit of a hot seat. And then he's doing a good job in the fundraising element, from what I can tell there. And then is the Joel Golding era? Are we putting?
There's a hot seat there. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the contract is, but
that's got to be a search season right there. Like,
yeah, I mean, they've had 120-win season, and so. Prediction on the season, over 22 wins possibly. I'd say they
football won 22 games. So that would be insane.
That
would be a record.
I think Lobo football wins 22 games next year.
That'd be pretty incredible.
You heard it here first. Anyway, to answer your question, I do think they get to 22 wins. Yes,
I think they do too.
Does Sean think North Dakota State is positive at this time? No hype, just facts as you see it, Sean.
I do think there is.
Hey, Sean. No hype.
No hype. I do think there's a lot of positives. I don't think it's the complete, like, everything is a positive, but that's kind of like all these moves, honestly. I do think it kind of raises the stature of the league to a certain degree. I think any league that added North Dakota State was going to get a nice little bump in publicity and a lot of good feelings around it, whether it was the MAC or Conference USA or the Mountain West. Somebody was always going to look smart in the sense of maybe it's not this crazy brilliant move or whatever, like you added like Tarleton State or they become like awesome. Well, Tarleton State's probably not a good example, but some league was always going to look very good by adding North Dakota State, and the Mountain West doing that. And then that works. I am curious to see how things shake out with kind of television and all that as well. You're adding another team into the mix there. That could maybe end up being a little bit of a negative. And you have 10 teams playing football now. Are we kind of hurtling for another weird tiebreaker situation where one team feels really – and I'll say this, North Dakota State won't factor into that immediately unless they get the
They're appealing.
They're appealing. I don't think they're probably going to – I don't think it's going to break their way. That hasn't really worked for other teams in the past, but we're in a different era, so who knows. But – I don't know. I don't think it'll be an immediate effect, but certainly, the tiebreaker stuff could be pretty interesting. But I think it's a positive. They're the premier FCS program. They wanted to move up. The Mountain West got pretty good terms for it. So I think there's a lot of positives there. And I guess those are the facts as I see it.
In 2026,
pretty much is my opinion, but
in 2026, if you got a school that not only talks the talk about investment, but says, here you go, that is a win, and that's probably all that matters right now is that they actually wrote the check already, basically. And they're investing. They're not just Sacramento State saying we have money, but we've never actually done anything.
Yeah,
just take us. That they've actually done something, and they have the money. And people, because they're FCS, I really don't think most fans understand the support that they have there. the fundraising that they have there. They have donors, they have money, they have a home field advantage, they have crowds that show up. They have a lot of stuff. It just hasn't been on the main stage.
Yeah.
I don't know that the new Mountain West is the main stage, but it's Manor.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a benefit, and it's only football, right? So it's not every other sport. It's not like you got North Dakota State basketball fans, hightailing it to Vegas and all that. But I think it is a benefit to the league that you now have a fan base that travels and likes to show out and will be kind of re-energized by, yes, they dominated FCS, and yes, fans were really excited about winning FCS title after FCS title. But I do think there was probably a little bit of not apathy, but if it wasn't a big game, it's kind of, we'll beat the brakes off them, and that'll be that. Unless you have what was it? Oh my God, Northern Illinois this year that knocked them out of the FCS playoffs. But I think it's good to get a fan base. It's kind of reinvigorated by joining the Mountain West.
Probably not Northern Illinois.
Oh my gosh, not Northern Illinois. Illinois State, the Redbirds. Oh, that's terrible. Sorry about that, guys.
If only we had a football writer from the Midwest.
If only we had somebody who had a football writer from the Midwest with a good feel for the directional Illinois schools. I have a great feel on the directional Michigan schools, though. But yeah, I think overall positive, and those are the facts.
Appreciate the no hype there. I heard Amari Bailey will be in attendance for the UNM game. That would be devastating for Hal to be denied, but Amari is eligible. All right.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. That was reported last week, yes, that he will be in attendance on behalf of GCU.
Yeah, he knows I'm coming.
Oh my goodness.
And but yeah, well, yesterday's news wasn't a good sign for Amari Bailey. That's for sure. And the Chris Howell thing, I get where you're coming from. They are very different topics, though. The eligibility of Chris Howell in a medical red shirt versus this pro thing. I'll say this too. It does seem somewhat arbitrary. So G League and NBA players coming back and getting denied, and yet Tomislav Buljan playing 3 years professionally overseas, and 85 or 86 other Division I players who have played professionally overseas that had to get granted eligibility. What's the difference, right? Well, the difference is when you play in the United States and you go to an NCAA school or whatever, and then you turn pro, you're sort of in the NCAA system, and you sign, I'm leaving. You sign the paperwork, basically. Whereas Tomislav Buljan was never in the NCAA system. So what he did before he entered the NCAA system is sort of the difference, the point of contention, right? It's not just about playing pro. It's that these guys were at NCAA schools, were playing by the NCAA rules, decided to make a decision based on NCAA rules to leave and become pro, and now they're wanting to come back as amateurs. Whereas Tomislav Buljan and all these international players never started their NCAA clock. So the difference there to distinguish is that basically, once you accept our rules and then you leave and then want to come back, it's different than, well, okay, you never actually accepted our rules and started. You did the same thing and played pro, but we'll be a little bit more lenient on you because you never actually signed up for this. There you go. Desert Lobo 72 is in. So with Mountain West football now at 10 teams, will the conference schedule include games versus the other 9 every year? What's the long-term status, Sean, for the schedule? Do we know yet?
I don't, in terms of what's going to happen this next season, they're redoing the conference matrix and all that. That's supposed to be out in the next couple weeks. I would be surprised if it took longer than maybe 2 weeks or so for all that to be out. It's just kind of the short-term thing there. In terms of them going from 8 conference games to 9, I don't know if that's going to be on the table at this point. I don't know. I think it would put a couple schools in a little bit of a bind, Air Force in particular, because they don't have a ton of wiggle room with their non-conference. So I would expect them to probably push back on that a little bit because they would. They'd have to figure out, if they'd have to figure out what they were going to do. You have to play Army. You have to play. Oh my gosh, you have to play Navy. I could not think of the other service academy. Wow. And then they like having that FCS game there, but they also like
love it or leave it, Sean. All right. Love this country or leave it and get the service academies right. And don't forget the Coast Guard, man.
Dude, you just start playing Toby Keith just right over this.
Food in your ass. It's the American way.
What a crazy song. I do. I don't know. I would expect Air Force to maybe push back on that a little bit. I would be curious what other schools actually would push back on that. But I would not categorize them going to 9 games as like an inevitability at this point. That's not kind of how I view that right now. And obviously would not happen heading into this next year. But I think long term, I think it would make sense, but it might put a couple schools in a little bit of a bind.
Jonathan Gonzalez is asking on YouTube, how possible is it that Montana State, South Dakota State, or Tarleton State make the jump to the Mountain West? Also, what's the deal with Sacramento State? What's the deal with Sacramento State?
I actually asked Eck about this yesterday, like in further rounds of realignment where the Mountain West does want to add teams and all that, would you want them to add from the kind of the upper tier of the FCS? And he named Montana State, and South Dakota State as those kind of 3 schools that are what he said was FBS disguised as FCS and all that. I get what he's saying there. I don't know if that's 100% true. From what I know, like the Montana schools, it's not me. Maybe I got bad info. And if there's any Montana fans in the chat, please hop in, or Montana State fans, please hop in and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they have the finances for it at this point. They kind of maybe missed what Eck referred to as kind of the bargain, where it used to be a $5,000 fee to start the FCS to FBS transition process. It's now $5 million, and then you have other fees as well that you have to account for. I don't know if they have that money. South Dakota State, I'm not super familiar with that. Tarleton State, I know from what I'm familiar, has a pretty decent amount of money. So I think you would say it's probably all possible, but I think it's more on these schools to kind of one, to get their finances in order, and probably be willing to take terms similar to what North Dakota State did, which we're not as friendly to North Dakota State as the terms the Mountain West gave, like Northern Illinois, for example. What's the deal with Sacramento State? You tell me. Whole lot of bluster, and nothing is really like it's. I don't know. I have not been particularly enamored by this attempt to jump to the FBS on their part.
My thoughts on Sacramento State is all those schools you just mentioned have proven it with success on the court, in the field, with fundraising, long-term success. Fan bases, all that. Sacramento State has nothing but a whole bunch of money all of a sudden. What happens when the money runs out, right? Like if you don't have that money anymore, well, they haven't proven that they have fans. They haven't proven that they have long-term success. They haven't proven that they have stability in their administration that is going to support athletics beyond the current administration, right?
You just hired Alonzo Carter, and Alonzo Carter is probably going to be a pretty solid FCS head coach and all that. And you had Troy Taylor before, but you lost Brennan Marion, I think, in large part because you told them, hey, we're going to be able to do all this. And it never happened. You lost your head coach, I think, because of that. So.
I'll give you an example of what some people, I think, feel is a comparison, and it's Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon has had money for years, and everyone's like, look how good they are in basketball. Why aren't they in a better conference than the WAC? Finally, the Mountain West, with criticism, took them, and there was the academic questions, right, and all that kind of stuff. But people also wondered, okay, but how long can they sustain this if they decide to quit investing in athletics, all that kind of stuff? Money doesn't buy your way into a good league. You got to kind of prove it for a while. Grand Canyon finally proved it for a while. Now, there's the whole other question about fake university and online university and all that kind of stuff, which has been vetted. The level of that, so that you want to debate is a whole nother topic. But
that would drive me nuts if I was a GCU fan, and every time we lost, somebody was in like Twitter replies, like showing the stock ticker. That would drive me absolutely insane. I would be so insecure about that.
Once you're actually in the league, though, like that's got to stop, doesn't it? Like, okay, we're in. Like, you can't keep showing us the stock ticker. But anyway, Nicholas is in. Is Moga
Luke
Moga better than Lobstein? Can he beat out Lane? Sounds like Lobstein is trying to come back.
Yeah, so I actually was not familiar with Lobstein's efforts to come back. I know that Brett Carhu had tweeted not so long ago that he might be trying to look for a legal avenue to try and get another year of eligibility. And then today, hopefully I'll have something to write about on this later, and it'll be in tomorrow's paper on the website later. There is a hearing in Nashville an extension of the Pavia case, the JUCO waiver, and all that stuff there. And there are, I think it's 26 total plaintiffs, and a lot of oh my gosh, I know that guy. Sorry about that. Gigas. 26 other plaintiffs on that case as well, including David Murphy, Bear Levels, guys who were on the team last year, and then Emery Floyd, who was on the team the year before that, ended up transferring out. Those are guys that are trying to get another year of eligibility, get a preliminary injunction to play in 2026. So hopefully we'll have some news on that. That hearing, I believe, is literally underway right now. So I was not familiar with Lobstein. He kind of fits that model because he went JUCO too, but he's a guy I actually requested today that I would like to get a contact for him and maybe chat with him and see what his kind of approach to it is.
That hearing is being live streamed right now on our Twitch account.
Our Twitching, on our Kicker. Is Moga better than Lobstein? I don't know. I haven't seen Moga live, and he doesn't have a lot of Oregon game tape. He has some stuff that he's kind of the mop-up guy against Oklahoma State or Montana State and all that. And there's some good stuff there, but it's not I don't know if I'm going to get the full picture from that. So I kind of want to wait until a spring practice and see how he kind of runs the offense and how things kind of look there. Eck did talk about this yesterday, though, and I asked him, is it Jack's job to lose? Is it his job until further notice? Or are you guys going in and kind of saying, hey, it's going to be a competition from the jump? And he kind of said a little bit of both, if I'm being honest. He said, yeah, it's Jack's job to lose, but it's not etched in stone that he'll be the starter for the very first game against Central Michigan and all that. He's, not etched in stone there.
He's not out yet.
What's up?
The too deep for the opening game is not out yet.
It's not. I do think he is expecting Moga to push Jack or maybe supplant Jack and all that as well too. He did sound like if Jack did end up winning the job, then Moga would probably fill the Lobstein kind of role that he did last year. Jack, of course, we talked about on other shows in the past. Apparently they're optimistic that he will be back. They're not for spring practice. They're not 100% sure. He's running around and doing stuff, but they're just trying to get that elbow right. Moga is dealing with a lower body thing too, so he might not be 100% during spring practice, so that'll be kind of interesting there. The one thing I thought that was really interesting from the presser, though, coaches love to talk about how bowl practices are so valuable and they can, really help out young guys and give those guys reps that they weren't getting before. The guy that apparently had the best bowl practice run was Toa Fave, freshman quarterback last year, still a true freshman right now in this academic year. Apparently he really he ended up passing Cole Welver and was really the third guy on that depth chart behind Lobstein and Lane, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if he's going to make a full run at the starting job, but he's a guy that's really fast, really athletic too. I think they'll figure out ways to get him on the field. I think he only played one snap against Colorado State, but I thought that was really interesting, and that probably explains why Cole Welver ended up making the move to hit the portal and transfer to Southeastern Louisiana. But can he beat out Lane? We're going to find out soon. I haven't seen him in person with my own eyes quite yet, so figure that out.
All right, we're going to jump back to a basketball comment here. Kylo's saying that I believe this is a humbling phase for the Lobo men's basketball team. After a loss at Grand Canyon, we will win 5 of the last 6 games. If they do win 5 of 6, they will not drop to the 7 seed. But yeah, they very well could lose tomorrow night. I'm curious to see, based on the metrics right now, what the spread is going to be. If you include the GCU at GC or GCA at GCU, that is the Global Credit Union. No, GCU at GCU is what the arena is. It's the Global Credit Union Arena at Grand Canyon University. So the GCU at GCU is going to get you a point or two on the spread. And the Lobos are ahead of them on every computer metric and beat them previously by 23. I would be shocked if this isn't a spread that Grand Canyon's favored by tip time, but I'll bet you it opens as the Lobos, maybe the Lobos favored by 1.5, maybe. We'll see. But anyway, this is obviously a rough stretch for the Lobos. There's no denying that. They've already lost the 2 that were important because they were home games. But if they go 5 and 6 down the stretch, I think they're probably still a top 4 seed, probably with tiebreakers and stuff. The conference realignment stuff is maddening. This conference got trashed over greed. I will tell you. Well, okay, so let me finish this comment because I agree with this part of it. Mountain West Conference 2024 plus the Pac-2 plus Gonzaga basketball plus North Dakota State University football would have been a top-tier conference. I don't think it would have been a power conference, but I think it would have been a very, very good group of five, the best group of five in both basketball and football had that exact scenario played out. And the reason it didn't was because Air Force and San Jose State and New Mexico was viewed as one that was at least in the kind of iffy stage.
Have-nots to a certain degree.
They were the have-nots, but it was really two schools that they felt were hurting them, and then a bunch of schools that they felt weren't helping, and because of the investment. And UNM, I've talked with basketball coaches that are just like, how do you not find a way to get UNM into the new pack? It didn't happen. It is what it is, and I agree with you, man. Like I really think out west could have had a nice, strong little conference had they just figured it out on how to join. How to merge rather than doing what they did.
This is college athletics, man. We're not in the business of figuring things out. We're in the business of tearing it all down and then trying to figure something out.
And then complaining as to why it's all torn down. And then finding a new way to blame the athletes for greed.
We used to have a great league.
And then NIL. And then
this Charles Bediaco guy came along and, oh, jeez.
Then the athletes came and ruined it all. Came. Does the Mountain West gain from all these new schools? The college landscape is convoluted, it seems. Second, will Eck clear out some players after spring ball?
Yeah, I don't know if he's he talked about this yesterday. It was something I kind of forgot about because the question I posed was about, you don't have a spring portal window this year. I know you guys were aggressive in the portal. You added a bunch of guys. But if you needed to add a guy, how would you go about that? Would you just pull somebody from the JUCO ranks and all that as well? And I think that's something that's going to happen. But they're over the limit right now. So they're going to have to cut some guys. And, he talked a little bit about how they would kind of advise guys in the sense that it's like, hey, we might be able to take you back as a walk-on that next spring. Or, we might encourage you to go play NAIA ball somewhere because they have some different deals as opposed to the NCAA. They're not on that schedule, the NCAA schedule, I should say. That's something excuse me, I forgot about that, and good on Eck for kind of clarifying all that too. But they are going to have to clear some guys out. I would expect they'll probably clear some guys out after spring ball just to give guys some more clarity. I don't know if they're going to figure everything out though immediately after spring ball, but we'll end up seeing. But it's
going to be interesting, real quick, to follow up on that part of this. So the whole portal window issue, right?
Yeah.
What about players that get cut basically from their school, from their team?
Yeah.
After spring ball, and
they're going to be technically over regardless because they have guys that are considered DSAs, designated student athletes, and I believe, if I remember correctly, those are the guys that were like grandfathered in more or less. So they're not subject to that kind of cap rule, roster cap, I should say. So they're going to be over the limit in some regard, but yeah, like what do you do if you're those guys, you're at your school and we're going to play. And then all of a sudden I got cut.
Yep.
What happens there? You probably go NAIA or figure something out there. But, as for does the Mountain West gain from all these new schools?
Not all of them. I think they gained from North Dakota State.
Yeah. It's the rest of them. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It's case by case.
Yeah.
To be fair, Illinois State might have had the greatest run in football playoffs ever at any level last season.
I think they did. Yeah, I mean, pretty magical and brutal that they're two championship game appearances. They lost by like 1 point and the 2 points this last year in a wild freaking game. So no disrespect to the Redbirds, although the one guy I knew that went to Illinois State was like a total tool. So disrespect to him, but not Illinois State.
No disrespect to the Redbirds, says the guy who just told us about some random person that he didn't like once that went there, and
who he called
Northern Illinois earlier in the show.
I'll say that guy is a scumbag.
Oh,
dated my cousin, not a good dude.
Can't stand that guy that dated my cousin. So
not a good dude.
So did Illinois State have a good run in football? Sure, but they also had a guy that dated Sean's cousin who was a real scumbag.
I like the idea of like somebody broadcasting, like it's like Sam Acho broadcasting like the FCS final, and it's just like, what a run for Illinois State, but man, they admit some scumbags. And they got to take a good long look in the mirror.
Yeah, I mean, at what cost, really? Success, but at what cost?
Not a good dude. Anyways.
I had a feeling Olin's seeking another year for Howell. He is 100% healthy. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize Chris was 100% healthy. Hey, Geoff, in the new Mountain West, with how bad UTEP, Air Force, San Jose State, UC Davis project to be, could this be a one-bid league moving forward? Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think is that not the general expectation?
I don't think with Grand Canyon and New Mexico both being
Nevada,
and Nevada, yeah. I don't think it's expected to be a one-bid league by everyone within the league. I would guess that most people outside the league probably expect that.
Yeah.
But the West Coast Conference was basically a 2-team league forever. 3 if you want to include the BYU years when they were in it, right? For basketball, because football went independent. So I would tell you that the West Coast Conference was basically, some of those teams in the West Coast Conference, you got to understand, were really, really bad California teams for a long time, that St. Mary's and Gonzaga were beating by 30 most nights. But St. Mary's and Gonzaga both found a way to always be NCAA tournament teams. This could be kind of that. It could be 2 or 3 top-heavy teams, and everyone else that really sucks does bring down the league and hurts the metrics and all that kind of stuff. But you got to do some damage in the non-conference. And the other thing is, because the metrics do matter in point spreads, you can't play Air Force and win by 20 and expect that to be good. You got to find a way to win by 30. You got to find a way to beat the bad teams, insultingly bad, to make the metrics work out for you. So will it be a one-bid league? Quite possibly. Do I know for sure that it will be? No, I don't know that for sure, but man, it doesn't look good.
Richie.
That's all I got. Why was a consistent middle of the pack West school, UC Davis, added over a West Coast Conference school? West Coast Conference schools are all private. They kind of fit a mold with what they're doing. They don't have football. UC Davis at least has the future potential for a football ad. But the main reason, and there's no other reason than this, frankly, UC Davis has apparently a ton of money.
Yeah, they have that big billionaire, that one big billionaire dude to kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and promise of investment in athletics is where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Now, they did say yesterday they have no intention of leaving the Big Sky for football. I would tell you this. If what we're told as to why UC Davis is in the Mountain West is true, and it's because of all this money, and North Dakota State just came in for football, and UC Davis says, no, we're good for now, where we are. I think they said, okay, UC Davis, you got all this money. We'll let you in for not everything but football, whatever you want, but not football, basketball only or whatever. Let's see it. Prove it to us. Invest some of that money. Let's see what you guys do with some of that money. And in a few years, we can see about your football team being added as well. But there is a promise of a ton of money being invested in athletics at UC Davis that the Mountain West is interested in. Let's see if it happens, and then we can talk football maybe. That felt like a panic ad. Could be.
The Mountain West. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
No longer at the peak. We'll see what happens.
I will tell you the potential for Texas State is good. But, man, if you're telling me Texas State wasn't sort of a last-minute panic ad for the pack, it definitely was. And that was a football member ad. So, first,
Richie.
JY from the Big Mountain reported it will cost North Dakota State $17 million to join. That is true. It's $12 million to the Mountain West, $5 million to the NCAA. Josh is in. Apologies if you've already answered this. I was just able to hop on now and listen. What do you believe UNM basketball needs to do record-wise to get an at-large bid? Is there still a path? 100%.
According to Joe Lunardi, they don't have to do a damn thing. And at the end of the day, they be in the freaking tournament, man.
Yeah, Joe Lunardi has them in. Future losses would have to be at Nevada. Wouldn't be a horrible loss. At Logan on the last day of the season, at Grand Canyon. Those are the only 3 losses they can have, I think, at this point. A home loss to San Diego State actually wouldn't hurt them, especially if San Diego State continues to win. So those losses, I'm not saying you can have all those losses. I'm telling you which losses individually wouldn't hurt them. But You also need to get some of those games that I just mentioned where the losses wouldn't hurt. You're going to have to win a game or two of those. But yeah, they're in the metrics right now. They are in a probably, I don't know what the number is, but let's call it 10 to 12 kind of team package right now or grouping. They're still very much in this 12 team group of the final 8, 6 either way, 6 are in, 6 are out kind of thing, right? And like Sean said, Joe Lenardi as of today has New Mexico in, and that's with their losses last week. So we'll see. Is there a chance at a spring football game? There is a chance. Or is it going to be spring practice thing that we had last year?
Yeah, it'll depend on the health of the team. And, there's still some guys, I think, coming back from kind of some off-season stuff. The one other, I think, notable injury update that Eck provided was kind of deja vu to like last year. Troy Omeire is dealing with a little bit of a knee thing, apparently, lower body injury. So he might miss a little bit of spring practice, which is similar to what happened with Keegan Johnson last year. He came back. Keegan, I think, made like the last 3 practices or something like that. But yeah, I would say it depends on the, I would say it depends on just the health of the team overall and what their kind of numbers are looking like. Now, granted, their numbers will be inherently better than they were last year, simply because of the fact that they think they've built pretty much most of their roster anyway. They're not looking to the spring portal like, okay, hey, we still have to go out and try and get a couple of these guys in the portal at that point. But we'll see how healthy they are by the time they get to April 27th, which is the April 25th, excuse me, which is the spring game that we it's a date for that we got announced yesterday. And spring ball starts on March 27th. And the pro day is the Monday before. So yeah, I made that really confusing.
Jonathan Gonzalez is in. Coach X said Troy Omeire looks like Terrell Owens. It's high praise, and it seems he may be set to be WR1, wide receiver 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the case, or is there someone else on the roster who is considered to be that number 1 guy? T.O.
Everything he said about Omeire yesterday makes it clear to me that they're expecting him to be wide receiver 1. Physically, what he brings to the table, 6'4", a good old-fashioned, nice recruiting pedigree and all that. He said he talked to Kenny Dillingham and Dan Mullen, reached out, and, those are guys that were bummed to lose him and all that. They are definitely expecting him to be the feature receiver in this offense. I don't think there's anybody that's really all that close. They're going to, again, I've said it multiple times on this show and the podcast, they still need guys like Sean Miller and Ziel Smith and, Cater Joe. They still need those guys to take steps forward and, continue working at being better football players and, being more productive receivers. And Eck was a little more blunt about some of the receiving stuff that they kind of went through last season than I think he was before, honestly, in terms of just, it was not outside of Keegan Johnson, it was not an insanely productive or really reliable room. But yeah, he's expected to be wide receiver 1. I don't know who else you would consider to be that guy. Again, I said it multiple times. If they did not get a guy like this, I would not feel nearly as good as the wide receiver room as I do now.
Terrell Owens' playing weight, 6'3", 224 pounds.
Got to stay healthy, though. Got to get healthy. Got to stay healthy.
That's a hot take from Sean right there.
Hot take.
GCU athletics and university as a whole feels like a big loophole and a cheat.
Let's check on the GCU stock price.
Probably worse have-nots.
Well, I don't want the Gunnison Copper Core. I want Grand Canyon University. I don't know what the ticker is, though.
You're really doing it. You're doing it, man. Look at you.
Wow, they are up. Wow. They're up 0.87% today. Can you guess the share price?
No.
169.65.
$4 million.
Good day for
sure.
Good day for the Lopes.
Let's check that stock price after tomorrow night's game, huh?
We're shorting. We're shorting GCU's. It goes to the moon.
I saw that as a troll. Bediako was leading that as a troll. Was leading the G League All-Star votes. It would
hilarious.
be
really funny
to see him in that game.
They had to take him off the ballot.
Did they?
Yeah, they had to take him off the ballot. I think it was a bunch of Auburn fans and other assorted SEC fans that were just spamming him. He was one of the game starters. Yeah, which is a really freaking funny bit.
That is funny. I hope to see Jalen in that game, in the G League All-Star game, and with the LA Clippers soon. I will tell you this: Jalen had 5, maybe 6 now consecutive 20-point games for the G League San Diego Clippers, but he also has not started a game this year. So I don't know exactly what his projection and potential for a late season add to the currently 9-seeded LA Clippers in the West. So there you go. If they don't make the playoffs, teams don't say they tank, but when they're out of the playoff picture, they do start bringing up some more G League guys and trading some players off. They did just trade off, Harden. So we'll see. I would love to see Jalen House in the NBA. That'd be great. One of my favorite players of all time to cover. What's the state of the running backs room, Sean? Who's the guy? Who's set to make a splash? Losing McKinney is a big deal, in my opinion. But is having Scottre back a big deal?
Yeah, I'll kind of work this question backwards like I've been kind of doing a whole lot this show. I don't know why. But, yeah, I mean, literally, I think I have the quote on my Twitter somewhere. Eck literally said yesterday, getting him back, getting Scottre back was a big deal. And he actually credited him.
I want to interject there. Why has Scottre not had the real one treatment?
Yeah, no, he got it yesterday.
But just yesterday.
Just yesterday. And I'll say, look, I don't –
Tell me about the real one take, Sean. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I don't like how they handled it. All of these contracts, it's not like Scottre just signed the contract over the weekend or yesterday. All of these contracts were signed before the bowl game. Just put them all out in December and be done with it. I don't like how they kind of I don't like how they held Scottre. I don't like that they held Drew Speech or Jameer Torres back or anything like that. Just release all those guys. Just release all those guys in December. I don't know why they did it the way they did. I was honestly really annoyed by it. And again, there's plenty of guys that are coming back that haven't been announced. Are they not real ones? Are they not? Are they not loyal to Albuquerque, loyal to UNM? It just seems. It's just
of course they are, Sean.
It's just so clumsy, and I'm getting worked up for no reason. But I don't know. Not how I would have done it. But
you snuck a blueberry in your breakfast sausage there, Sean.
I agree. Losing McKinney is a big deal. Come on, man. Come on. Bring back bad memories. I agree. Losing McKinney, I think, is a big deal, but I can't fault him for getting closer to home, going to Tulsa. Scottre, yeah, I think Scottre is going to be the guy. Obviously he was, and Eck talked a little bit about it yesterday. He was the guy that was talked about before, really kind of the lean stretch of fall camp last year. And then you're getting into the season. He was expected to be the guy that he was talked about in that light. I think he's going to be the guy. Eck did credit him and said he was very appreciative of how mature he was in terms of, not only being willing to come back, which isn't so much a maturity thing, but being, mature about the kind of lack of touches and lack of usage last year and really kind of say, we're not in those meetings and all that, but everything Eck has said, everything other players have said, and, the few times I've talked to Scottre about this, it seems like he's handled it about as well as you can, even though it's not the most fun thing in the world. As for who's set to make a splash, I am excited to see Kiefer Sibley, the North Texas running back. I liked what he did in North Texas. I think he could be a guy that could be pretty interesting. They also said, Eck mentioned too, don't forget about Deshaun Buchanan. He was the odd guy out last year in the running back room. A guy that they kind of didn't really need in certain respects. When you have, Damon Bankston, DJ McKinney, and then Scottre Humphrey, he was just kind of the odd man out. But he's going to, I think he's going to get a nice bump up in terms of usage, and he's got a pretty nice skill set that I like too. So we'll see what happens there.
Jordan's in on X from Boise. What was the Leon Rice walk out of the pit like? It was like his walk in, which was a lot of booing, but on the walk off, I think the timing of his walk off so close to the referees walking off and the Lobos walking off after a second home loss, there was just a lot of booing and not a ton of fans left either. At that point,
a couple baseball players kind of lingering around. But.
Yeah. The baseball team was waiting for him on the ramp, but no, I mean props to Leon. Leon, Boise State now has a 16-15 all-time lead in the series, and while it's still a losing record in the pit overall, he has won 5 times there. So, props. Good show. Glad fan base saw UNM as you guys working it. Honestly, hope it's not the last time Boise UNM match up for too long. See you in Vegas. So that is obviously a Boise State fan who is all Boise State fans are huge supporters of the show, and I appreciate that. John, any closing thoughts on football?
Wow, where to begin? I think we hit a lot of the essential stuff from the presser yesterday. I'll have more content over the coming days. I'm trying to think, is there anything we really didn't get to that kind of stood out? But no, I think an exciting week for the league in a lot of respects with North Dakota State coming in, and I think this is still an exciting time for UNM football. I thought they did some nice work in the portal class. That gave us a lot of thoughts about some of the guys that are coming in and what he thinks they can add. I will say this too. They lost tight ends coach Jared Elliott to Illinois. That was a shock to me in my flu days state because I had not been checking in that week. But it was not a shock to UNM. It sounds like they have a tight ends coach already, more or less. They maybe hasn't signed the contracts or anything like that, but sounds like they got a guy in mind, and they're planning on announcing it later this week or probably I think the latest I heard was Monday. So be on the lookout for that. They might shuffle the offensive staff a little bit too. Technically, they're hiring a guy to fill Elliott's spot, but they might be hiring a guy who might end up coaching the receivers more, and then they might move Zach Lujan, who is currently the receivers coach, to coach tight ends. So we'll see what happens there. But plenty of news coming, and I'm looking forward to finally being able to plan for spring ball and get an idea of what we're going to do, what we're going to cover out there. So yeah,
I'm excited that you get to plan too.
I'm excited. I am.
Lobo basketball plays at Grand Canyon tomorrow night. I'll have a pregame show from Phoenix. 3 Mountain West games on tonight. I will tell you, our good friend Ken Pomeroy has a 73-72 Grand Canyon win is the fan match predictor there. It actually has the 18-6 Lobos finishing the regular season 4-3, which would be 22-9 going into the Mountain West tournament. And at 13-7, if they finish at 13-7 in Mountain West play, I'm looking at this, and they'd be in a 3-team mix with for the 3, 4, and 5 seed with Grand Canyon, Nevada, and themselves, and they would, like I said, have the tiebreakers. I will say too that Grand Canyon loses some of those tiebreakers because they only played, was it Nevada once? Yeah, they only played Nevada once. So in that tiebreaker, Grand Canyon would go straight to the bottom of the tiebreaker by not having a single win against one of the teams in the tiebreaker. That's why New Mexico is still in a decent spot if they get into the tiebreaker situations with Nevada and Grand Canyon. But they still got a lot of basketball to play.
Whatever you do not bring up those Ken Pom numbers in front of Doug Gottlieb. Do not do that with Coach Gottlieb.
Don't do it.
We'll deliver an impassioned 4-minute rant about why Ken Pom is so stupid while somehow missing the point of what Ken Pom does. Incredible stuff.
His big point was like, it doesn't have context. It doesn't, the Ken Pom numbers don't tell you if the team was sick. Well, yeah, but what are you supposed to do? Just not count the game if a couple guys are sick? Like, you still have to count the games at some point. Anyway.
Also saying that, they don't, nope, the MAC doesn't play anybody. Yeah, some teams in the MAC don't play a whole lot of teams. Like Akron played like an awesome non-conference. I don't know what to say. But.
We know who the teams are that everyone wants to buy in the non-conference. Okay.
I don't mean to
change the computer formula of Ken Pom.
I don't mean to punch down on Doug Gottlieb because I'm not really in a position where I can punch down. But he's taking a lot of undue flack because they're playing better this year. But what a stupid freaking rant, man! Good Lord. All right, that's all I got.
That's all I got. I'm looking. Yeah, no more comments. I was just scrolling through to make sure there weren't any comments on that weird timestamp thing at the top. Okay, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for all being here. Sean?
Thank you, everybody, for being in here today. Thank you to Sandia Sportsbook. And, thanks to everybody, once again, I say it every show, for producing our show for us. We will hopefully be back next week, although we haven't been
like
awesome.
clockwork. You can count on us being on every week at the same-ish time and day-ish.
You got the weekend off? You got Valentine's Day plans? You doing anything?
I have a daddy-daughter dance at the elementary school with my daughter, just to be clear. And that's on Friday night. So
it's fun. Cool.
That's about it. And then I have no game to cover on Valentine's Day, which basically just yesterday hit me that, well, better come up with something.
Hey, you wanna see a Song Sung Blue again?
Song Sung Blue. Oh, is that the Rod Stewart song?
There was like a Neil Diamond. He got like mentioned in one of the Super Bowl ads. I was watching
Neil Diamond.
One of my buddies had like a PSA.
DoorDash.
One of my buddies he was in a PSA that was supposed to air on the Telemundo broadcast. So we had Telemundo on for a lot of the night. So I don't know if it was the same commercial log, but I thought I saw Neil Diamond and something. There was like a Neil Diamond impersonator. It was like a Mayo ad or something.
Neil Diamond. It was DoorDash.
Neil Diamond. Yes. Let's go. All right. That's enough of that.
Billy Joel was brought up yesterday by Frank. Actually, Saturday night rather, by Frank, because he got some Billy Joel.
He's a Billy Joel diehard. Yeah, he loves it.
And somebody said, I wonder if Sean knows who Billy Joel is.
I know who the Stranger, bro. Come on.
The Stranger?
70s, we only do 80s Joel.
He's the piano man.
No, we only do 80s Joel.
I'm gonna hit the end stream button, and then we're gonna have an awkward 8 seconds of just staring at the screen. And
we're gonna Kubrick gaze into the camera.
But I usually do a thumbs up for some reason. That's kind of been my go-to during the awkward pause. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, hit end stream. Oh wait, nope, messed that up.
Oh my!
End stream now. Ready? Awkward. Stare into the camera.